Good day, I'm Chris Jansing at MSNBC World Headquarters in New York, where it is now 4:01 p.m. We begin with Hillary Clinton back home in Chappaqua, New York, after falling ill during the 9/11 ceremony in New York City. She did leave that ceremony early, around 9:30 this morning, after feeling overheated, in the words of her campaign. New video this afternoon shows Clinton clearly unstable as she was being helped into her vehicle. She was then driven to her daughter's nearby apartment, and a few hours later, she left Chelsea's on her own accord, smiling and waving.
How are you feeling, Secretary Clinton? Are you feeling better?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
NBC's Morgan Radford is near Clinton's home in Chappaqua, New York. Morgan, what's the latest there?
Well, Chris, we're standing here in Chappaqua, and we were here the moment that Hillary Clinton arrived at her home. She was in that typical van that she travels in, followed by two unmarked cars, as well as local law enforcement vehicles that were ushering her into that cul-de-sac where she shares a home with former President Bill Clinton. And they've lived here since 2000, since they left the White House. And that is where Bill Clinton was waiting when his wife appeared unsteady at a 9/11 memorial earlier this morning. You can see in video that has since emerged where she's clearly leaning against her Secret Service aides as they're helping her get into that same traveling vehicle. Now, what's curious, Chris, is that reporters were not allowed to follow her or know her whereabouts for the 90 minutes following the time when that video emerged. So it's unclear where she went immediately after, but we do know, as you mentioned, that she later emerged from her daughter Chelsea Clinton's Manhattan home, and her spokesperson said, look, she was feeling overheated. She went to her daughter's home. She was playing with her grandkids on a typical Sunday afternoon, and that, of course, is before she came here. Now, the question is, what happens next? There is no indication that she is going to depart from her current schedule. She's scheduled to be in San Francisco tomorrow morning, and then she has a fundraiser tomorrow evening in San Francisco, and then Tuesday she has not one but two fundraisers in Los Angeles. But in the meantime, she'll be here at her home in Chappaqua. Chris.
NBC's Morgan Radford, thanks for that update. Let me bring in Hallie Jackson now. Hallie, Donald Trump was also at that 9/11 ceremony. Any reaction from him or his campaign at all today?
Nothing. Nothing from the campaign, nothing really from Trump himself, although NBC News did catch up with him when he was visiting a firehouse in Manhattan, Rescue One, which is one of the hardest hit fire companies that was affected by September 11th. Trump was there with former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and let's play a little bit. You'll see he doesn't address it. He says he doesn't know about it, but watch for yourself when our embed, Ali Vitale, who was there, asked.
Mr. Trump, a quick question about Hillary Clinton's health incident this morning. Her health incident this morning.
So not much from Donald Trump there, nothing from him on Twitter. And in fact, today has largely been devoted for the GOP nominee to focusing on September 11th. Nothing from him either about the other big political headline of the weekend, which has been that basket of deplorables comment from Hillary Clinton. Instead, Trump releasing a lengthy statement about the 9/11 anniversary, saying it is a day of remembrance and sadness, but also of resolve. Chris?
A very different Donald Trump that a lot of people wondered if that person existed. Somebody who let the 9/11 anniversary stand on its own, only released that statement, didn't take an opportunity today. Not to say that he won't take an opportunity tomorrow.
And that's going to be the question, right? How does he respond when and if he ultimately does tomorrow or later in the week, let's say? Traditionally, you might expect a candidate, a nominee, to come out and to say, you know, that they're thankful that their fellow, you know, their rival nominee is okay, and then get back to sort of the race of it and the campaigning of it. But we'll see how Trump and the tone that Trump chooses to take when and if he does say something about Hillary Clinton's health. His first rally after all this, by the way, Chris, tomorrow in Asheville, North Carolina. We will be there.
It also raises the question about whether their health, the health of both of them, you know, becomes a bigger issue in this campaign. And it already has been in the sense of medical records and really knowing in detail about what the medical backgrounds are, Hallie.
And ultimately of disclosure of how much each candidate is telling us. To be clear, we do know more about Hillary Clinton's health than Donald Trump. She has put out, I think, a 4 or 5 page letter from her physician. Donald Trump has put out 4 paragraphs from his physician about this, not mentioning, for example, his medications, his family history, etc. So Trump has disclosed less about his health, but still, for both of these candidates, it's less information than we have known about nominees in past cycles.
It is indeed. Hallie Jackson, thank you very much. And joining me now is Dr. Devi Nampia-Rampal, Associate Professor at the NYU School of Medicine, or as we have always known you, just Dr. Devi. Thank you. So they basically said she was overheated. What you see, and that's really all we know, is what they've said and what we see on that tape. Is it consistent?
It is consistent. I mean, there are other possibilities. From that video, I can't tell if she's near fainting or anything like that. I mean, it looks like she could even have just lost her balance just with her knee buckling or something. So it's not clear from that. I mean, if someone is near fainting or perhaps unsteady from that, the things that you worry about is that they're not getting enough blood flow to their brain, not enough oxygen to the brain. So that could be from simple things, ordinary things like it's hot, it's humid.
Standing in
you're getting dehydrated.
A place for an hour and a half.
Exactly, with a lot of people
ceremony.
approaching you. Exactly. So sometimes when people feel a lot of pressure or anxiety, they breathe more quickly, they hyperventilate a little bit, and that can cause the same symptoms. And then the same things that most of us go through, maybe we forgot to have breakfast, we haven't gotten enough sleep, all of these factors can come into play. But then on the other hand, you know, you always worry or think about the worst case scenario. Just as a physician, those are the things that you want to watch out for, right?
She doesn't travel with a doctor, but there's a lot of training that goes into being a Secret Service agent.
Sure.
They obviously made a decision. Hillary Clinton, the campaign, Secret Service, didn't go to the doctors, didn't go to a hospital, went to her daughters and came out, and here we see her a couple of hours later looking fine, looking like Hillary Clinton, waving, talking to that little girl. Is that another indicator that it may well have been what they said it was?
I think so. I mean, she looks pretty healthy. She looks very comfortable. She looks like her usual self saying hello to the little girl, right? I personally, as a physician, would have recommended just getting checked out. Of course, you know, if there is any possibility that you might be fainting, you worry about just cardiac causes, which can happen to anybody. For someone who's on blood thinners, you might think about, could they possibly be bleeding and have a little low blood count? So I'm not saying those are things that are happening, but it's just things that you think about.
But you look at a person's medical history and say, so
Exactly.
maybe she gets checked out. But in a case like this, when any of us on a day like today or yesterday, which to me felt even worse in New York City,
Sure.
you could be overheated, get into a cool place, rest and hydrate.
Exactly. Have something to eat and then feel much better.
Dr. Devi, thank you so much for coming in. It's good
Nice
to see
see you.
And time for a quick break, but when we come back, America remembers. Today, marking 15 years since the attacks that changed this country forever. All lost on September 11th, remembered by name today at Ground Zero, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Jane Ellen Baszler.
Robert J. Bellwether.
Andrew J. Bailey.